I think we can start, sir.
Yes, and I don't have to make any changes to my presentation. I mean, to my uh, appearing over here, right? I can
Yes,
just
sir.
off.
That's fine. You can start.
Okay, fine, fine. Namaskaram to everyone present over here. I'm Dr. Satish Kumar Nadimpalli, Associate Professor of English from Sagi Ramakrishnam Raju Engineering College, Bhimavaram, Andhra. I extend a warm welcome to the ELTAI webinar 118 titled Work-Based Learning, Bridging the Gap Between Education and Industry. Our distinguished resource person today is Ms. Megha Juneja, Director of Strategy and Implementation at Purdue Polytechnic High School, Indiana, USA. The moderation duties for this webinar will be expertly handled by Dr. Ashok Guge, and a heartfelt welcome to both of them and all the participants. ELTAI, the English Language Teachers Association of India, proudly holds the position the largest network of English teachers in the country. We're also the proud publishers of the Journal of English Language Teaching, a UGC-approved journal that's distributed free of charge to all our association members. Let's now delve into the vibrant world of ELTAI through a promotional clip highlighting various programs that it holds. With close to 5,000 members, ELTAI has been consistently organizing highly informative webinars for many years. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone joining us for our 118th webinar. Let's proceed to watch the promotional video together. Well, we appreciate your attention to the promotional clip. ELTAI has consistently demonstrated a strong commitment to empowering the English teachers in various ways. I now welcome the moderator, Dr. Ashok Guge, with a brief introduction. Dr. Ashok Guge holds a PhD and other degrees from Savitribai Phule Pune University and the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. He is an assistant professor at MIT Art, Design and Technology University, Pune. With over 100 debate wins, he was named the best orator at the University of Pune in 2006. A certified soft skills trainer, he has delivered 200 plus career guidance speeches in Maharashtra and presented papers at international conferences. He published many research papers in reputed journals. His teaching involves diverse methodologies for effective learning. With this brief introduction, I now request Dr. Guge to take the charge. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Satish Kumar, for this kind introduction and the opportunity to moderate the session. Thank you very much. A warm good evening to everyone present here today. On behalf of ELTAI India, I feel privileged to welcome our expert speaker, Megha Juneja, and all the esteemed dignitaries and members of the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Megha is going to talk about work-based learning, bridging the gap between education and industry. Megha has been in the education sector for about 15 years now in various capacities. A trained and experienced educator, her work has given her the opportunity to work with learners, young and adults from all walks of life, within and outside of the Indian subcontinent. Currently, Megha Juneja is the Director of Strategy and Implementation at Purdue Polytechnic High School, Indiana, and she was a founding member of PPHS and is licensed ELL and reading teacher. Through her work, she has been an architect of transformative systems, pioneering school designs and crafting frameworks that continue to shape the educational landscape. Her creative and innovative approach has enabled her to surmount obstacles and foster thriving cultures that embody excellence. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Megha will speak about 40 to 45 minutes from now, and soon after that we will have Q&A session. I request everyone, all the esteemed members, to put their questions in the chat box or Q&A sections if it is visible, or you can put into the chat box, and then we will take them up at the end of the session. We are delighted and privileged to have Megha Juneja with us. We welcome her to this webinar. We look forward to listening to her. Without further ado, I hand over the floor to Megha. Thank you. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you, Ashok. Thank you, Satish. And I am just going to start presenting. Let me share my screen. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I know it's evening for you guys, but it's 6 a.m. where I am. And if you hear my dog bark or my son come from background, it's just too early in the morning, and I don't think anyone in my house knows what I'm doing. They're all sleeping. So as we start, the idea that I wanted to share today that I've very recently started working on is called work-based learning. And I call it bridging the gap between the education and industry, because this is something, as educators, as people in the industry, we know this is a big gap that exists right now. If we go as far as just teacher education colleges too, because I know I'm talking to the people in the education and teaching fraternity. So how many of us know when teachers come out of college and we're like, man, they need more training, they need more support. And this is after our teacher education colleges, most of them are built on the idea that a lot of our teachers have to go through internships, have to do classroom teaching experiences while they're trying to become teachers, but still we see gaps. Uh, it's not the same. Teaching still has, I would say teaching as an industry is still a little ahead of the curve. But if you think about engineers, if you think about a lot of other professions, I would put doctors aside because they do have residentship and things. Uh, Internship is something, and this is work-based learning. What I talk about today is more pertaining to K-12, K-12 meaning kindergarten to 12th high school, uh, because in US, a lot of people do not go to college. Like going to college is not a default. Unlike in India, a lot of us do go to college because it's affordable, but going to college here is not very affordable. So a lot of students take the option of going straight to the industry. So as K-12 education is, while the goal is to always push them towards college, still only about 40 some percentage of kids attend a 4-year university here. So as we start digging deeper into this, I just want to start with a little bit about myself. I know you guys heard I live in Indiana. I've been here for the last 8 years. Was living on the East Coast in New York before we moved here. I work at Purdue Polytechnic High School. Here's my family. And these people that you see on the side, this was one of the work-based learning trainings that I recently attended in Nashville, Tennessee with Big Picture Learning Schools. So if you want to look up Big Picture Learning, they're big into work-based, and you might get some resources too. They are also based outside of US. I am guessing in India too. So let's start with what is work-based learning. These are instructional strategies that engage employers and schools. So it's not just like students going there, but it's also as much on the employers, on the businesses to support the students and individual student, as much as it is on the schools and the students to learn. And when I say work-based learning and I talk about Indiana, one of the things is that Indiana, as a high school graduation requirement, Indiana is making it mandatory that each kid has an internship or work-based learning option. So it's not only the test scores that they have to have by the time they graduate high school. It's not only doing their courses, all the credits to earn during high school. It's also becoming, I think it's becoming a push across the country now that each student who graduates high school should have done some sort of internship, some sort of apprenticeship, or something to do volunteer. And a lot of states do not even allow students to get paid for these internships. So these are purely for experience, for learning sake. When I say start with the why, I think it would be preaching to the choir. I have people who I'm sure all believe in the idea of hands-on learning. So what work-based learning does is work-based learning gives our students a real-world professional experience. It connects what we teach in the classrooms to what happens out in the industry. I can never forget to date, one of my students who was graduating 12th grade, and he had gotten admission into one of the most prestigious universities. He was sitting next to me and he was crying and he was like, I don't know what an engineer does. And I was like, for real? Like, you were the kid who were always building stuff in school. And this was the kid who was building skateboards, motorized skateboards, who was always like, you could see him fidgeting and doing things. And I was like, that's what an engineer is. You are an engineer. And he was like, but will I only be building stuff? I was like, no. Didn't you always also go to the classes? Didn't you also do other things? Didn't you also work with your mentor? Didn't you do that internship at that place? And he was like, yeah. I was like, now let's combine it all. That is what work-based learning is. And I know how he just lit up and he was like, oh, Oh, now I know what engineering is. So, and it was a lot of times as 17, 18-year-olds coming out of high school, it's just not something that you think. Uh, ha- I- at least when I think about myself, when I was even at college, sometimes even today, I don't know what I want to do in life. But when I look at these ideas about work-based learning in my mind, I'm always like, I wish we had that. I wish I had that when I was in high school. I took commerce with maths in my 11th and 12th grade. I studied in India. And I don't know if when I was 14, I was smart enough to decide what I wanted to be in life and why I picked commerce. It was just based on my interest in math. It was based on what people told me. Uh, so work-based learning gives more exposure and opens up students' view in what they actually want to do in life and not just base it on the scores and grades that they receive. So as Indiana is moving towards work-based learning, and I say when I say Indiana, I want to stick to Indiana and not say everywhere this is what work-based learning looks like, because I know what is happening here because this is where I live. But I've seen versions of the same thing happening everywhere across the country and even outside. So a lot of times the schools and businesses, they partner and they say, hey, in our 11th and 12th grades, we want our students to be spending more time outside the classroom than inside the classroom. But usually you would see like in 9th and 10th grades, they start with like starting 8th, 9th grade, they start with inviting guest speakers, going to workplaces and touring the factories and doing all of those. Then there are lots of like college and career fairs, moving to shadowing, job shadows, and then preparing. And all of this is in preparation for internship. So if you see the 3 tiers, it goes from like bringing awareness of what different careers are and then taking it to exploring the different available options and then preparing for this final push outside of the school. And like I said in the beginning, the scenario here is a little different. A lot of students that I work with, they choose to go directly to the workforce after high school. Uh, so, and a lot of them start their own businesses. I have students who are now running their lawn mowing businesses. I have students who are in, like, we know that in India too, like social media is a big thing where people now think I can learn everything online. Why go to college? Why waste 4 years of my life if I don't want to be a doctor or an engineer? And to a certain extent, it's also right. And on the other hand, it's also a little bit of disillusionment because of the constant social media presence that we see around us. And you're like, I think I was telling this to one of my colleagues yesterday. I think in today's world, anyone can learn anything. Just go to YouTube University and Google it and find things, and you can learn how to build shelves. You can learn how to build, you can be a carpenter, you can paint your house, you can do, so a lot of jobs, like every time anything breaks in my house, what is your first instinct? Go to YouTube, teach yourself. So, but internships are more about learning it through a mentor. And while YouTube University can be that mentor, there's still a need for a lot of us to be out, and be out with people and learn. And one of the most solid example for why this is important, we have a car manufacturing plant here in Indiana. It's called Subaru Cars. I don't know if we have those in India still yet, but it's a Japanese car company. So we took our students to Subaru car manufacturing plant every year. And every time we went there, it was like I was always in awe of seeing like those huge giant robots welding on the operation line, making cars and all of those. And Subaru hires high school graduates, and Subaru pays a starting salary of $40 an hour to a high school graduate who can work on the line. And $40 an hour is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal to be here. Even like starting salary at a McDonald's here is $8 to $10, and $10 is on the high end. So if a high school graduate can get in Subaru and work $40 an hour, that's just mind blowing. I was like, can I work here part time? But the thing with that is, and even then, the HR people at Subaru said, once they get high school graduates, they're not able to retain them because our high school graduates do not have the discipline or know-how to be in to be working in a factory like setup, because every minute in a factory is millions of dollars. And a lot of them don't show up on time, do not have the work skills, do not behave like professionals. So all of that is where work-based learning fills that gap. Imagine now there are these high school graduates already going to Subaru, learning all the requirements, learning how to be that professional. They train on what to do on the job, but it's not about the what, it's about the basic attitude of being on the job that a lot of high school students do not have. So when we talk about work-based learning, it benefits everybody, not just the students, not just the schools, but also the employers. For students, we've talked about a few things, but for students, it's about building a relationship with somebody. And I work in an urban setting. Urban setting in US means more low-income family students. I do not work in like the students that I serve, that I work for. They are, I would say, 70% low-income family, 70 to 80% free and reduced lunch, which means they don't even, like, their family incomes are at a point that they cannot even pay for their school lunches, so they get free lunch at school, which means we serve mostly low-income students, low-income families. And so relationships are important. Role model and having mentors in life is important. I didn't know when I was growing up in India, I didn't know anyone who ever visited my house who was an engineer or a doctor. Why would I even ever aim to be a doctor or an engineer? My parents never attended college. So for me, going to college was a step like, oh, wow. I am the first generation learner, which was a big deal in my whole entire family. I was the first person to attend college. So these are the things. But now, once I am in college, the next generation has people to look up to. So it is the same thing. Having those role models is important, and work-based learning gives our students that. Imagine if I were a student and I was able to hang out in a car manufacturing plant with an engineer. Why would I not be pushed to become an engineer? Or if I knew an aerospace scientist, why will I not want to be one like him or her? How many of us have had family support, mentors who are these high-skilled professionals? Don't we see a difference between people coming from families who have who are surrounded by professionals versus people who are not surrounded by professionals, who are the ones who are breaking the barriers for their own family and probably are the people kids look up to? So it is important to have those role models and internships. And so working with workplace skills, like I talked about at Subaru, like no workplace skills. So career planning. For students, it also gives them a foot in the door to an industry. For schools, it is about how I can't even remember since how many years we've been saying schools are part of the community. But how are we part of the community when we have our walls and our doors shut all the time? teachers, like one teacher from the next teacher next door does not even know what they're doing in the classroom. How closed walled are our schools? So while we say we are in the community, we are for the community, we're part of the community, but just going out once in a while and cleaning the community, doing a cleaning drive, does not mean you're a part of the community. Being a part of the community, serving the businesses in the community, being a part of the community means bringing those businesses inside the classroom. That is part of being the part of the community. And uh, a, a lot of teachers go to school, go to university, and then come back to school as teachers. So their experience of the real world is also very, very limited. The scope is very different. You've not been to a field. You've never, as a teacher, if you've never looked at the requirements in a hospital, or there are jobs outside of being a doctor and a nurse, what are you preparing your students for? So even being a part of these businesses exposes the teacher's understanding of the world as well. So it's beneficial for the schools. And employers, for sure, it helps build like this community connection, positive relationship, and they're also building their future pipeline. They are building a pipeline, a ready pipeline for people who are interested, who would want to join the workforce once they graduate. So this is one of the things that happens when you go from high school. If you take the path of work-based learning, it creates multiple different successful pathways. A lot of students, when I go do a work-based learning, when I do an internship, if I'm a student and I do an internship at a hospital, let's say, I realize I cannot not go to college. I will have to go and get a degree in maybe nursing science or maybe in radio technology, because I really like doing those x-rays or scanning, or I think this is something I want to do. So I realized that I want to go to college. So a lot of students, it also, work-based learning nudges a lot of students towards college. And once the students enter college, they have a little more clarity on what they want to do than otherwise. So yes, academic skills, because you're seeing that if I'm learning how to write an essay in the classroom, it's not just for nothing. I see how bad people are at writing emails. I am sure we all know at least two people who don't know how to write their emails. And every time we receive an email, I have received emails where the entire email is in the subject line. Or I've received email where everything is in lowercase. Or I've received email without a subject line. So it's like connecting. Work-based learning is teaching you to connect, build that connection, the academic skills and the why behind them. Like, why do I need to learn how to write? And I know ChatGPT AI is a big thing, and I don't want to, this is not, if this was an AI webinar, it was a different thing, but this is not. So I'm not going to go there. But even with ChatGPT, it's like there are jobs today in the market which are about being efficient prompt generator for ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is another thing which is garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage prompts, you will get garbage out of it. So you need to know what to ask ChatGPT to. So that is those are other skills that we need to probably build our students towards. And these are some of the internships, work-based learning that our students are doing at the moment. And I just have some pictures, like the one on top with this dowel here. This kid interns at a construction site. He wants to get into construction, and after they go, twice in a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, these students have to be doing internship. They don't come to school. They go to their internships, and they have to spend the whole day. And once a month, the teacher, if I'm their teacher, I also have to go visit them on the site to see how they're doing, talk to their mentors, and guide them if needed, take some corrective action if needed. There are kids, like the second picture that you see, there are two of our kids who are working on a popcorn site, popcorn shop. They're learning how to, and they showed us how to make those sweet caramel popcorns. And I was blown because they were explaining it and they were handling like this giant equipment. And I was like, man, if I were doing this, I would be like, don't talk to me. I can't let my popcorns burn. But these kids were like, just doing it. They were smart. They were also explaining to me the whole process and making popcorns at the same time, and putting timer on and talking and being like, hey, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. So not that these kids want to open a popcorn shop or that's where they want to build a business, but this is more like they like they're gaining work skills, they're gaining work ethics. And the person who mentors them at that shop, she comes every day. She has a chalkboard where she writes their goals for the day, and these students, they just come meet those goals. At the bottom left, this is where we visited them. These are the two students who are interning at a music. So they make music. They have like this huge equipment and they're recording their own music. It's a recording studio and they're playing it. And I'm like, what do you do all day? They were like, we just play music, we record music. I want to build my future in music. And so it's just interesting to see. And the student who was his mentor was also one of the interns at one point at the same place. And today he has a job at the place and he mentors other students. So again, like I said, business is building a pipeline. A lot of schools have a culinary arts cooking program. So students learn how to cook, take pictures, not just like cook food, even like take pictures, serve food. When we went to one of the schools, the food that we were served was cooked by the student. And they took an order, like if I'm a vegetarian, they made sure my meal was vegetarian and they made sure it was made separate and all of those things. So a lot of good things. And if you're wondering, like, where do we start? If I want to do this at my school, my university, at my college, where do I start? I would say where I started was Google Maps. I went in, and the one thing that I did was like I created a community map based on Google. My Google search. I just went in and I said, okay, here's my school. Now let me Google Map and see what are the businesses around. What are the places that we can? What are the places that we can reach out to? I'm just trying to pull the. I think I linked the document here. So let me see if I'm able to find it. Yeah, got it. I'll just share it here. So this was an exercise that I did. Here's a school in Indianapolis. It's here. So I went on Google Maps and I did like, what are the places around? I just like, without talking to anyone, this was just sitting in my room. This was what I was doing. I was like, here's my school. What are the businesses around? And before I made this list, this was my first draft. I just went in, clicked on their links, and started putting it on a Google Doc. Like, here are all the links. Then I would click on them. And this was like my first attempt. And then I started pulling out like details. I created this table like this. So there's Exodus Refugee Center near my school. Here's the address. Here's their hours. And then here's a form that they have. And then there was a daycare close to. And if you're wondering, like, I need Subaru factories or I need hospitals to internship, I think the best place to start doing anything that you're doing is your local community, even your local restaurants, your local coffee shops, your local, even a grocery store if you have one near. Like, there's no experience that's like, that's not worth your students' time and attention. So after I made this list, the other thing that I did was like, I'll just go back to the presentation. So after I made the list, what I did was like, I printed this list, and I and one of my friends, we just started going around. We were like, okay, let's go to this first place. We went and we were like, hey, we're from Purdue Polytechnic High School. I am so and so. We're looking for internship opportunities for our students. And we were like, hey, we're looking for free internship opportunities, free labor. And they were like you could see like their faces light up, like who does not want free labor? Um, but the only thing is we want to make sure that we do not just sell them as free labor. We are able to say that we want them to be learning, because this has happened in the past where we've gone to the businesses and we've said free internship opportunities, and our students are just sweeping the floor and all day long. And we're like, okay, I get it, sweeping the floor, that is good. They need that, they need all of that, but they need other things too. So that is where your school and the advisor intervenes, and the advisor's role is to see what the students are doing, how they're learning, and then pivot if it's needed. So go to the place and be like, hey, I appreciate you taking our kids on and helping them learn. They're learning tremendous amount of skills, but every day mopping the floor from 9 to 5 is not going to teach them a whole lot about your business. Do you think we can split some hours and be like, have them at the front desk for a little bit, have them behind the scenes or stocking or shelving and all of that, and then sweeping? Well, obviously they could continue to do it, but not all day long. So that is how we are able to adjust as mentors, as advisors to our students. So this is one great way to start out. And then I think the response that we got from the community, it was really, I was pretty blown, because there were businesses where I didn't hope there would be anything. And we would, now every time I'm like driving by someplace, I just stop and I was like, hey, so if like I just, if I go in, I try and buy something, and then I slowly just pitch in my card. I pitch in our students, and I'm like, "Oh, we're here. So do you think you would need some like, I was at this restaurant which is close to our house, close to our school, and we were having lunch, and once I was done, I was like, "Hey, can I speak to the owner?" And the person, he came in, and I was like, "Have a seat." And then we started talking. I was like, "Thank you, really good food." And he got talking. He was such a passionate, it was a Mexican restaurant. He was such a passionate restaurant owner that you could see. He was like, "I've been in the community for the last 22 years. I love this community. I want to serve them," and all of that. And I was like, so I work with a high school. Do you think you would want some interns, some people, some kids you can teach some of your cooking? Like, this is really good food. I'm sure that we have students interested in learning more about food business. Do you think we can do that? And he was like, yeah, that is why I'm here. That is why I exist. It's not just a restaurant. It's a place where I want to groom the next generation. And I was like, yes, like, yeah, good meal. And we were able to get this with our students going, and our students, he's going to be visiting our school someday soon. We've set up time talking to our students about his restaurant, himself, and how he feels he can help. And we have students, obviously, who are interested in eating, cooking, opening a restaurant someday, and learning more about like how many times you go to a restaurant and you're like, man, I wish I want to open a restaurant. And then there are people, and I don't know about you, but myself, I look at it and I'm like, I can open an Indian restaurant here. But then I realized running a restaurant is not easy. But I've never worked in a restaurant to know if it's easy or not. So I think if I had work-based learning, I would be a coffee shop or a restaurant and not be a teacher. So yeah, this is like I said, it's just a start. I've recently started digging into this area, and I see a lot of people in between posing questions, but I just didn't want to digress, and I will take them here. But one of the big things that I have learned over the years in doing this work is the value of social assets. The more people you know, the more you'll be able to get done. the whole thing about work-based learning is about community engagement. I still know the first day when I went into a teacher education college, we made like those 3 concentric circles where it was like home, school, community. So those 3 circles, but they didn't really mean anything to me. Like it was like, yeah, it's a concept that is taught, but it's only today that it holds more meaning, because I know that these students who are spending their 2 days at the job site are learning as much, if not less, than what they learn in my classroom. Thank you. And now I see we have like 200 people. So
Thank you very much, Megha. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yes. Meanwhile, I just like to summarize very briefly, and I request the members of the audience to put their questions in the chat box. But Megha's insightful presentation on work-based learning has provided us with a deep understanding of how this educational approach seamlessly integrates the practical workforce experiences with traditional classroom learning, and like you very elegantly highlighted the core purpose of work-based learning, and offering a very genuine exposure and hands-on experience in professional settings directly relevant to their field of studies. And you also shed light on the scale of salaries that students in USA can achieve through the work-based learning, emphasizing its potential impact, and we can compare in India too. You emphasize the importance of role models, mentors, and teachers in guiding individuals on the path to adopting a culture of work-based learning, which is need of the hour. And the innovative concept of community map, that was very interesting, and to identify local businesses adds a dynamic element to the discussion today. Thank you for that. The crucial aspect of bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical skills was consistently highlighted throughout the talk, resonating strongly with our shared understanding of significance of work-based learning. And your demonstration of how work-based learning facilitates a smooth transition from classroom learning to the workforce is particularly noteworthy, with various examples. Reflecting on your valuable insights, we are certainly eager to incorporate these learning and takeaways in our learnings, traditional classrooms, especially within the Indian context, and recognizing the need for mentoring and expertise in, you can see, the small scale businesses. The potential benefits for both the students and business owners through work-based learning are evident. So we express our sincere gratitude for generously sharing your time and expertise and illuminating perspective with us. Your contribution has undeniably enriched our comprehension of work-based learning with practical experiences that you have. So with this, now,
Ashok, can I take like one question from the chat?
I'm going
Yeah,
to the questions
no,
now.
I just like, I want to highlight this
Please.
before we move to the Q&A. I know Arvindan, he asked about like how is this topic related to India in government schools, since I'm talking about polytechnic schools in Indiana. I'm not sure if you heard the part, the school, the Purdue Polytechnic High School, the students that we serve are like, if you think about government schools in India and you think of my school, they're the same. There are lots of students who come to our school only to get free food, only to have a safe place, and because they have to come to school. So these are not high-fiving polytechnic, very smart, like smart in Indian sense, smart grades, smart schools. This is a school that serves very low income population, and these are lots of people who, like, these kids would not go to school if it was not for like free and public schools like ours. So when I say these students, there are students who are homeless. There are students who have all the lower economic issues and challenges that you like. Honestly, I could not imagine the challenges that our students have here growing up in India. Like, I think while I come from a family, I did not come from a very high professional college graduate family, but I had a roof over my head. I was not worried about the meals where they're coming from. Here I have students who are worried about meals where they're coming from. There are students who are coming from single parent families and all of the challenges that yet a lot of us cannot even imagine. So for them to have work-based learning opportunities, and that is a way to get out of poverty as well. So this is one of the ways they get excited about what is next in their life, because a lot of times when you're in that ditch, you're not able to see what's beyond the dark. So work-based learning, going to these workplaces, looking at those internships gives them an insight into what is possible. And I can see that very applicable even to our government school students in India, where I have worked too.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Megha. I'm sure that like you worked even in Maharashtra, you went to various schools in Nagar, even Ambezogai and
Yeah. And Hyderabad.
even Hyderabad. Yes.
And Delhi. So Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Pune. So yes, I am from US, but I grew up in India. So don't think I'm like removed from the realities in India. I worked with a corporation school, a municipal school in Hyderabad, where I trained teachers there too. So I worked in that school too. So I am very aware. I just want to point out that it's not about like I am in US, so I don't know what's happening there. I am not from here. While I'm an American, I'm an Indian at heart.
Yes, thank you very much. We have question from Madhubala. In fact, she is asking, kindly share about any government initiatives regarding this kind of experience-based education in USA. So if there are any government initiatives in this line.
So are you saying government initiatives in the line of work-based learning? Are you saying what I talked about? Am I doing it in personal capacity, or is it a government initiative?
Yes, question is in that way only, like whether
Okay.
it is, yes.
So like I said, in the state of Indiana, they're making it, you cannot graduate high school. So there are like 3 buckets to graduate high school. You have to fill all 3 buckets. The first one is to do your courses like English, math, science, history, social science, all of those courses. Second is to take your SAT exam, which is like our board exams that we do in India. They don't have board exams here in US. They do SAT exam that every student has to pass. And this has only started like this year. Before this, we used to have I-STEP testing, which was similar, but testing only happens for math and English, not like, it's surprising to a lot of people in India. And we don't test our students for science, math, science, social science, anything else, but only English, which is reading and writing, and math. That's it. Students have to pass only this to pass high school. A test only in these. So standardized test. And then the third bucket is work-based learning. So this is becoming, and work-based learning is starting this year only. This was not like a requirement until this year. So that is a government initiative. It is coming from top, like the State Department of Education is pushing for it, that every student who graduates high school has to fill in all 3 of these buckets. You cannot just get like 100% scores in your classroom and pass. You have to have your courses, your exam, and your work-based learning in place.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, this is in fact comment. So, Ali Shrishasa saying that this is a very informative session, and I believe work-based learning not only equip the students of the skills required to get into workplace, but also create awareness about what kind of seriousness they should be about their academic too. So I think work-based learning help them in holistic development of their personality. So in this line, in fact, I would like to ask the question, since I worked at the School of Holistic Development at MIT ADT University. So how much this helps students beyond their professional learning or professional competence also to develop them holistically? So your views, Megha. Yes.
I like absolutely a great point, Ali. I think it's just like I talked about essay writing. Like, I don't know. I all my life I've written essays. How many times have you ever questioned, why am I writing this essay? Why am I writing about my friend or my cow or my dog or my neighbor next door? Why are we writing these essays, or about climate change? And I do not even want to be a journalist. Why do you want me to write an essay on climate change? But we don't even teach our students to question. We're like, hey, you have to do this, do it. And students very brainlessly, mindlessly just do it because, so who are we writing this essay for? For our teachers. But the moment you add context to that essay and you say, hey, this essay that you are writing is, so what you're doing in your internship, we want you to come and make a presentation on Friday about everything that you've learned in the last month. So at the end of every month, that is what we do when students go out for internship. At the end of every month, we want them to make presentations and talk to us about what they've learned at the internship site. So in my English class, I'm not just teaching them in vacuum presentation skills. They are consolidating everything that they've done throughout the week, throughout the month, on the job site. They have to capture quotes from their mentors. So it's not just like Google some quotes and add in your presentation. I'm adding quotes that my mentors gave. So as soon as I hear something about and I'm seeking feedback, I'm asking my mentor to give me feedback because I have to share it with my school. So you're adding a reason, a rationale to things that they're doing. And it's not just because my teacher wants it. So I think that is why it just becomes more like it is just yeah. I don't think I can find the right word right now, but it's just appropriate. It's just the way it should be in some ways.
Yes. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, you can just put into the chat box. We are.
Somebody asked about conscious competence of students in
Yes,
India
yes,
and US.
I
I
can
don't
see.
know what you mean. Can you elaborate a little bit? If
Uh,
you're if you're talking about like competence wise, like if students in US are more capable than students in US, I would say no. Students all the way are the same. In fact, there are like they are more prepared for life here in some ways than our students in India, because in India, like I said, we're still like groomed like kids. We're considered kids. Like I think about my time at FLU in Hyderabad, right? Our professors are like unquestioned authorities in India. Like we are still, I was doing my MPhil. I feel I was still treated like a kid. Like we treat our students like kids, whether you're in university or you're in high school. Like high school, for sure, you're kids. But even at the MPhil level, like I think that's where we need to change things a little bit and maybe give people a little more responsibility, put more onus on them on of their own learning, where you you if we start treating our students like adults who come with their life experiences, I think we'll be able to bridge that gap a little bit. But our students are academically more driven in India than here. Like students in India have like more focus in terms of like grades and stuff. But here it's more about like, I don't want to do math. I don't want to be an engineer. Why are you wasting my time? And I'm like, you have to. They're like, no, I don't have to. So it's like they question more on academics. So I would say the sweet spot is like if you marry the two somewhere, like the students in US are more like they have more exposure of life, and in India they have more like they're always like just into their study, get your grades and get out, go to college and then study, get your grades and get out, and it's just like do your job and then go home. So we are very like so narrow in our view. And again, I don't want to generalize. It has only been my experience.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Megha. And maybe we can say that like even work-based learning certainly helps the students to decide the career path, since they work and they understand that where is their inclination, and that is certainly like it's a kind of reinforcing the learning, and you are getting some ways to understand that where they want to do or professional line in the future. So that may that is the point even we can understand by your talk. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
We
Jayalakshmi asked if we can do internship after school. If we do internship after school or weekends, we do it during school. So we do it like we're now trying to get it like once a week. So, and if you're asked, somebody was asking when they do part-time jobs, they lose interest in academics. That's why we keep our internships unpaid, because once they start making money, they're like, peace out. So somewhere they lose it. So we want to keep it as focused on education and learning and less on money.
I can see someone is raising the hand. That would be the last question, if we can allow. I am not able to see, but let me try. Who has raised the hand? You can put the question in the chat box so that we will be able to take it. If that is not possible, then probably we'll compile all. Yeah, they are asking like how we can connect with for further information. So certainly we'll compile the questions, and email ID is given on the screen. You can take that email ID. You can get connected with Ms. Megha Juneja.
And Jayalakshmi, I don't know what phenomena-based learning is, and I don't want to make it up. So I know you've asked this question twice in the chat. So I'm sorry, but I don't know what that is. I can, if you email me, I'll and share some of that. I can, but I have no idea. Sorry.
Yes, certainly we'll compile the questions, Ms. Megha, and we'll get back to you, and we receive the answers. Maybe we can connect with the audience through your answers. Once again, thank you very much. So I am thankful to Megha for making this webinar effective and interactive by answering all the questions and adding a lot of value to the discussion. So thank you so much, Megha, for this very insightful, informative, and what I would say a very knowledgeable session, I would say. So
Thank
thank you so much. Thank you very much. I thank all the office bearers of ELTAI India and all the members of the organizing committee. I'm thankful for the technical support provided. I thank Dr. Satish Kumar, the host of today's webinar, and I'm grateful to all the distinguished members of the audience. With this, I hand over the session to Dr. Satish Kumar, today's host. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you. I express my sincere gratitude to Megha Juneja for making a thought-provoking and highly insightful and informative presentation on work-based learning, bridging the gap between education and industry. Well, the subject holds immense significance and pertinence in today's educational landscape. A special acknowledgement goes to Dr. Ashok Guge for adeptly moderating the session. I also extend my thanks to all the attentive participants, with around 200 teachers in attendance. I trust that you have gained valuable insights from this webinar. We will now post a link for feedback on the session on the chat box. I request all the participants who are ELTAI members to send us the feedback in order for them to get certificates. Well, coming to the upcoming webinar, which is 119 on the coming Sunday, it's titled Exploring Leadership in Education. Dr. Maitri Shinde from St. Mary's College, Hyderabad, is a resource person, and Professor C. Sarada from IFLU, Hyderabad, will moderate the session, and Mr. Rahul Kali is the host. The registration link for this will also be shared over here. And another very important announcement is the ELTAI is also going to organize the 18th International and 54th Annual Conference of ELTAI on exploring languages and literatures for evolving pedagogical practices. I repeat, exploring languages and literatures for evolving pedagogical practices, hosted by Royal Global University, Guwahati, Assam, from 23rd to 26th October 2024. Please register and participate in the conference. Do join us there also. And the registration link, of course, will be shared soon through email. We are still making arrangements for the conference. I hope the feedback link is posted on the chat box. Yes, the feedback link is shared already, and I request all of you to give your feedback on the session. Thank you so much once again, the resource person, the moderator, and all the participants, and also the supporting team. Thank you so much.